How's it going? I'm up early today. Had an early night. Woke up ridiculously early, 5 a.m. It's insane. I'm normally up at like 9 or 10 or something. Yeah, feel good. The decaf isn't kicking in as much as I would like. Obviously, it's decaf. Getting old. Can only do caffeine once a day now. Yeah, I've been watching some videos recently online. Behringer have come out with this Edge thing, right? And it's based on the DFAM, the Moog DFAM. And the reason it caught my attention, I think I've subscribed to someone's videos who was doing some interesting kind of glitchy electronic stuff with the Edge, and I don't really follow. I haven't really been following a lot of the new gear for a bit. I kind of gets a bit exhausting, honestly. There's quite a lot of stuff that comes out, and I just like to make stuff. But it's good obviously to know what's kind of happening, because it kind of impact what you create. But the reason I mention it is it reminded me. So we have that my partner Lucia's actually the Moog Mother 32s. I'm not really a Moog person at all. They're the only Moogs that we've ever had. I'm kind of looking at them now. We've often thought about getting rid of them. The reason we actually got them was because we were doing a project that was basically using like pulse waves and pulse width modulation, and kind of somewhat based on, sort of inspired by Anti-Renisto. If you've heard his stuff, he's not got much stuff out. He got an album out on 12K a long time ago. Well, probably maybe it was the late 90s. I want to say it's a bit later than that, but Anti-Renisto album on 12K Records. Check that album out. Really cool. Some people describe it as a car alarm going off, so my interest is immediately. I think actually one of the original reviews kind of described it as that. I'm not particularly a music critic review fan, so when they describe something kind of like that, I'm like, this is probably quite good. It is an amazing album. So anyway, I was really like that, and just this kind of it was that album, and also we went to Berlin a while back, and I don't know if any of you have been there. And I imagine this is the case with other countries, but their underground, I think it was the underground, that the U-Bahn line has this weird, like, as it pulls away, I don't know what causes it, but I'm assuming it's kind of electricity and kind of a combination of like the engine, I don't know, but it's a pulse width modulation. It just sounds fucking nuts. So we'd kind of been kicking around this idea to try to create like rhythmical structure based off a pulse width, and the reason, and kind of using it as an impulse, and resonating that impulse with with like a resonance, and then like cut off frequencies to kind of create basses and this kind of thing. So you can kind of create like the idea being like both rhythmical, like obvious, like kick drum stabs kind of stuff, taken from like how they create 808 kick drums and toms and that sort of thing. And then also when you speed up that, like, so the pulse width is just, banging around like at a really low rate, just pinging the resonance. And then as you speed up or increase the pitch of the oscillator, then you go into kind of more audio rate. And I really like that concept, because you've got basically like rhythmical and pitch all on one dial. So we kind of did this project that was based around that, and we wanted something to take that idea live, and that we put a record out, like, we put the digital out of that. No, actually it was a vinyl as well, of the relock thing, and we wanted to kind of take it live. And the original piece of equipment that was used for that was the Nord rack, and I figured like we need like separate boxes that we can kind of play around with. So yeah, trying to find some, we went into London Modular. I don't know who the guy was, but he was he wasn't very helpful. Went into the London Modular and said like, oh, we just want something. We want to check like the different clicks from your pulse wave generators, and he was like, a click's a click, and we were like, well, it's not though, is it? So anyway, we went somewhere else, and we went to somewhere on the famous road, Denmark Street, I want to say, in London, that sells loads of like guitars and various shit. They had some other 32s in there. So we could try them out in the shop, and the main thing we were looking for was something that gives us enough flexibility that would go low enough, like the pitch would go low enough, or the speed of the wave would go low enough that we could like basically create clicks. Yeah, it's really cool. So we did actually take it live, and we've got the recording of the live set, but it's it didn't really gel with it. It was kind of awkward set, and I don't know how many of you heard like a pulse wave and a kick drum blaring out a PA. It's pretty crazy experience, even for us making it. So yeah, we did some other stuff for the Mother 32s, but they've just kind of been sat on the shelf. And Lucy is not a synthesizer person. She does sort of mixer feedback stuff, so it's not really for her really. The workflow isn't really for her. The sequencer on the Mother 32 is like a proper, it's just so many button combinations. I'm forever getting the manual out. I guess I don't use it enough. So we got like a little stack here. But yeah, the DFAM, one of that family is I don't know, it's making me think maybe the Moog sound is, I don't know, maybe growing to it. I don't know. I'm not really into the legacy. I'm not companies that pride themselves on legacy. I don't know, it really grinds me. Just the prestige and legacy, and it just reminds me of royalty, and I'm not into royalty at all. Yeah, I don't know, but it is really well made, and the DFAM's got a very different quality to it, and I think it just kind of went past me a little bit. A few of our artist friends have got them and rate them, and they do sound pretty nuts. So having watched these videos on YouTube last few days, I thought, do you know what, I might, speaking in a previous video about one piece of equipment inspiring the use of another one, I thought, I don't know, like I remember using some of the like the control modulation stuff on the Rytm, and kind of getting into this FM-y kind of like AM kind of modulation stuff, and it really kind of glitches out, and it's different. It does sound very, very different, but it just sort of, I was like, yeah, I wonder if I just embrace the DFAM kind of sound, at least what I've heard online, and that's obviously very different than actually using one for sure. But yeah, what would happen to the sounds? And the one concern for me with the DFAM when I saw one is that it kind of sounds very much like that box, so I'm always into trying to find like ways to make stuff sound a little bit more unique, and in the DFAM just sounds kind of pretty good everywhere. So I was like, I don't know, this sort of box sounds like it's always going to sound like the DFAM, and where are you in that, I guess, which I don't know, I'm not sure. I like to get myself out of the way, but I don't know if I'm happy to replace it with Moog. I don't know. So, but it does sound good, and that's it. At the end of the day, it sort of kind of matters. But so I thought, yeah. So I've basically, with that in mind, I've taken some. I don't have access to a DFAM or a Behringer Edge. I have sampled from Loopop's YouTube channel, where he plays like each waveform very quickly. So I've sampled it at the highest YouTube streaming quality possible, of course, into the Rytm. The loop point's really crap, so it glitches and buzzes, which reminds me of old samplers where you can't get the start and end points lined up, so you get these different sounds. So I kind of like that. And I've sampled. He doesn't play the white noise in the video, so I got the Mother 32s out. As he did, the video in question I mentioned on Loopop, he's comparing the DFAM and the Mother 32, and the white noise is the same. So I grabbed the white noise from the Mother 32s, and I had a quick play around with one of them. Yeah, I don't know, it's quite cool. It was a bit dusty. So yeah, I've put the white noise in here as well, which you kind of heard, on this dial. And kind of started making something with the DFAM Edge kind of sound in mind. yeah, and lo and behold, it doesn't sound anything like the DFAM. It doesn't. It sounds like just other stuff I guess I make, but it's interesting just the waveforms and just that mindset going into a piece of equipment, trying to emulate or trying to kind of even not so clinical as emulate, but just like having it in mind and seeing, I guess, like if you were listening to someone's music and you then start making music afterwards, that kind of carries over. It's something I used to do a lot with techno in the 90s. It got to the point where I would listen to, I'm a big sort of Joey Beltram's Places album was kind of permanently on when I was a nipper. So I would often put that album on while programming in Cubase. So I would basically get like what looked like what I was hearing, but I'm not listening to what I'm doing. I'm just getting the basic kind of stuff set up, and then I would swap out Joey Beltram's amazing music for my really shit stuff. But at least it kind of got you started, and you kind of had a movement, and you kind of had an energy, or like a almost like an earwig, if you've heard that expression, like you hear something and it's just kind of stuck in your ear. Kind of got that scene from that Star Trek film. Don't know if you've seen that. Anyway, that kind of just like it's in your head, and you're like it carries into the creativity, which I find was really useful for me because there wasn't many people where I grew up that made music, but made electronic music. I'm based in London now, but I certainly didn't come from that area, so didn't come from London. It was just there was not really many people around initially. So just kind of having ways that I could be inspired and kind of feed off of someone else's music was really key. And I think when you're like, at least for me, when I was listening to stuff, it was always sort of highly analytical. How do I create stuff like this as opposed to like a consumer? I don't know what everyone listens differently, I suppose, but I would often speak to people how they listen to music, and it was really just enjoyment. And mine was like like studying, probably why I didn't do great in school. Kind of had that like energy into this, and I don't know, does it sound DFAM-y? I don't think so, but it's got some interesting stuff. I want to go through some of the layers. Let's have a look. So there was like this one, which I think was, what waveform is this? This was, so I got the square wave and the triangle wave and the white noise. It says DFAM, but it's the modified T, but whatever. So it sounds quite cool. So it's just a square wave and some basic sequences. I kind of wanted to do like 8 steps because I know the DFAM's got 8 steps, and I assume you can like change the end of those steps, like maybe making them smaller. I'm guessing you can certainly do stuff like that on the Mother 32. So and then I've just got some basic like filter frequency, resonance, envelope, and the amplitude decay on this sound, so just to kind of give it some movement. What I was finding though, you can go into more glitchy territories, but I just kind of always pull it back. Same with the Mother 32s, go into really brassy, heavy Moog sounds, and I just end up making bass sounds. But anyway, let's have a listen. So yeah, you can kind of hear it can go pretty sort of squeaky, which yeah, that was kind of what I remembered. Like when listening to DFAM, I think it uses like FM and various envelopes based off of the sequence, and you can kind of increase the FM based on those envelopes. And I think it's like 3 different envelopes from Loopop's sort of quick description. So I kind of got a rough idea that it's this percussive sort of FM thing, but obviously, the technical kind of requirements to do a sound and then the ingredients that make it, like the oscillators and the circuitry, is like a whole different world. So this sounds nothing like a DFAM, but it's kind of interesting. So that's kind of this sound. This is using, for those of you who, someone commented yesterday, they said they'd never seen this screen. It's buried in the menus, right? But yeah, this is like, for those of you who don't know, control input on your settings, and I've got some outputs from the bass and snare, or track 1 and track 2, going into the control in 1 and 2, and then I can modulate those based on whatever parameters I've got set up. So control 2's not, you can see, not moving because the output's not running for it at the moment. Which reason I mention that is this can kind of work as your modulation, like the extremities of your modulation, the level that is. So you get this sort of some interesting stuff there. So as opposed to being on the main control input screen, you can do it on the main level, which is quite cool. So that's that one. This sounds cool as well. I always like stuff on its own. Anyway, this is the triangle wave. It was kind of interesting seeing what waveforms are used on a DFAM versus the Mother 32. So it's the pulse width, which is kind of like basically a square wave that you can adjust the width of, but it does sound different. And then a triangle wave, a sawtooth wave on the. I always get triangles and sawtooths muddled. Triangle wave looks like a triangle. A saw looks like a saw. Should be pretty easy, right? So it's a sawtooth on the Mother 32, and it's a triangle wave, which is a much smoother waveform on the DFAM. And I'm guessing, because as is the square sometimes compared to the sawtooth, I'm guessing, like, given that it's a lot of FM based and kind of modulation on an envelope, that you kind of want a more stable bass orientated oscillator. Don't know. I'm guessing here. That would be my guess. Maybe some of you know more about that than I do. But versus the Mother 32, which I'm guessing is like, I don't know, knowing Moog and their sort of like things that seem to be what you buy Moogs for, I guess, is sawtooth and pulse width kind of makes sense as that lead kind of mid-range, high-range kind of melody stuff. Does do really good bass, the Mother 32 though. So, but yeah, anyway, so this is the triangle wave. Let's have a listen. See, I always just like it when it's bassy. It could be any synth really. But yeah, that's the triangle wave. So, there's not much to say about it other than, there's a waveform and a sample and just some basic like low pass stuff. Nothing too crazy. Same sequence is on all of them. Tracks 1, 2, and 3 are all the same sequence, just copied over. The differences are really just the control input parameters, the filter settings, just like, subtle stuff, and maybe some effects balances. Not a lot of stuff going that's different. That reminds me, there is some tune stuff which, yeah, this sounded quite DFAM-y. So trying to get like some of the settings from DFAM to work with this was like quite, like, you know, the limits become apparent. So again, it kind of forces you to work with stuff, but the pitch thing was quite interesting. What I liked with the DFAM was that, and Lupop was saying about this, is like if you set the like the sequence dials, there's like 8 dials that you can kind of 16 dials, but 2 rows at 8. One's like velocity, the other one's something else, I forget, pitch probably, and then you're kind of depending on the variations are quite extreme. Like even the rate dial was like from really slow to really fast on that machine, which was impressive. So there's quite a lot of range there, and very difficult to get back to those settings, which I really, really liked. So trying to get like the essence or character of the DFAM in a sense that it's like the pitch is just sort of all over the shop. I thought tuning on the sample might be kind of an interesting shout. So if we turn up the, give it a bit more bright, a bit brighter, not too much because I like it bassy. Yeah, don't know, kind of cool, kind of interesting. Wouldn't normally do that in most contexts, but I'm in DFAM mode, it sort of seems okay. So I kind of thought it was quite interesting. What else? The other thing was some white noise stuff, which is like the exciting white noise. There's certain synths that just have really good white noise, like the ARP Odyssey. If you can get a hold of a sample of the white noise, I might have uploaded one. No, I haven't. White noise on that is really, really nice. The Mother 32 white noise is pretty cool. It does sound silky compared to like most white noises, which is interesting. And maybe it's the filter, but so I've kind of got it set that as that filter opens for the white noise, well, actually it's the filter envelope amount that's opening or increasing, but as that gets up, it gets really like nasty, like really loud, really bright. This is the sample of it as well, and it immediately I noticed like the white noise out of the Mother 32 versus the sampled version from the Rytm. There's already huge differences. So when you get this, quite noticeable how different the quality is sampling, and not I don't know if it was an interesting difference either. So I haven't tried comparing transfer, white noise transfer. I was going to, and then thought it just doesn't matter. But yeah, so with that in mind, I've kind of turned down the amplitude as the filter goes up, which was kind of interesting. Kind of created this sort of like almost like when you see in film, it goes so white that it just kind of blends out into another shot or something. It's just like it washes out. It's kind of got that kind of quality. So this is kind of peak in the around there. So yeah, immediately become like the delay and the sound and the parameters influenced how it was going to be used. So this is something I obviously often find with encoders or what's the word I'm looking for, when you assign like controllers. Like when a controller's kind of been assigned certain values, the behavior is so dependent on how you set up those values, like all those parameters, that it really influences how you're going to use it. And I always find this disconnect. So encoders have the disconnect because there's not really it's not the same point, so your hand's not moving in the same way. And this one, which is why I like this one, because it's not an encoder, it's just you've got this kind of but you have to design it so it works in a way that feels musical, I guess, for want of a better word. So that was quite interesting. I kind of wanted to use it more rhythmically, but couldn't be asked in the end. Yeah, but I think that's the bulk of it. Like there's just sort of the keyboard tracking line of idea, but on the tune. And yeah, some like more distorted stuff. On the low one. But yeah, that's the bulk of it. Not much fancy stuff, I guess. I mean, maybe there is, but I've kind of covered it quite a few times, so I'm kind of speeding through it a bit more. But yeah, I thought I'd share it because I don't know how many of you have got a DFAM or that Edge thing. I'm holding off the Behringer rant. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just not gonna do it. It is what it is. Yeah, if either they both sound amazing, right? They both sound really good. I've not used either. I've used the Mother 32, so I can certainly say for the Mother 32, it's a real nice bit of kit to use. It does feel like you're driving a Rolls Royce, and I'm not a Rolls Royce person at all. Yeah, so there's that. But you know, it does sound pretty cool. Maybe we'll keep ours, maybe not. I don't know. It just sort of. I'm thinking maybe. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe to do some videos with the Mother 32s because I've got. Yeah, I feel like I've said these things. I've had these feelings, but with this box, like people would ask, friends would ask, "Oh, what's the rhythm like? Elektron is supposed to be really good," and I'm like, "Yeah, they are good, but I can't get with this machine." And part of the reason to do these videos is to like it's kind of quite annoying to have a box that you haven't sort of connected with. I've definitely changed my view or my emotions to this box since doing these videos. So I'm wondering, yeah, Mother 32 kind of, don't know, maybe I kind of do a bit of exploration. I have used it quite a bit for some really abstract stuff, but so I kind of know my way around them a little bit, but don't know. What do you think? Not that, you know, your opinion of what videos I do is I'll just do whatever. But yeah, I think it might be interesting, maybe to mix it up a bit. But yeah, ultimately I still want to kind of concentrate on this because there's so much more, the rhythm that is, because there's so much more I need to get out of it until I'm playing live with this box and feel that that's kind of to a point where I can, you know, sort of explore different areas in other boxes. I'm going to stay primarily with this, I think, because every single, even if you do the same thing, it ends up being different. So yeah, really value something I didn't do a lot when I started making music as a kid. I'd always do something different, and hearing Aphex Twin upload loads of that stuff that you did a few years back, hearing like the sort of versions of stuff that was released, or like the same sounds or the same drums or the kind of like the same session but different tracks, was a massive yeah, really appreciated that, because I was like, oh wait, it's not about innovating through individual sort of iterations, or well, like every single thing you do doesn't need to be innovative. You can just keep hammering. It's like a quantity game, really, more than a quality thing. So I'm not really quantity person anyway, but I would never have thought just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, you would get something interesting. I guess saying that now, I see how fucking dumb that was, but you know, I was a kid, so but yeah, like going to the machines and just doing it exactly the same thing you did last time, and just the differences of where your settings are can make the complete difference of the track. So you know, I think that's really cool. Anyway, I'm rambling a bit. I guess the decaf's kicked in. Cheers for listening. I'm going to put the project in the description as always. And if any of you've got DFAMs, feel free to tell me how this doesn't sound anything like one. But yeah, it'd be cool to hear what you reckon of them. They're not that expensive now, but I have no money, so maybe I'll borrow one. Cool. Catch you next one. Cheers.